F1 cards, soccer, UFC? What if I told you that the next big thing has been right in front of you the whole time? Football cards. Stick around. Hello to all my sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends. How are you doing? We are here. Another day has come. I hope that you all are doing really well. What's your week been like? Let me know in the comments below. What are you looking forward to here this weekend or this week? I'd like to know it. Hey, we are going to talk about football cards today and how I believe they are taking over the sports cards landscape.
Football cards, better eat your Wheaties. Official NFL Pro Set football cards, better eat your Wheaties. Now in specially marked boxes, get 4 free cards and maybe a trip to the Super Bowl.
Now let me be perfectly clear with you. This video is heavily biased as I am a huge football card collector, lover, etc. I am all about the football cards going back to 89 score, 89 pro set, 88 tops from my 88 tops friends out there hunting around for Bo Jackson rookie cards as a kid. And now we're here, guys, and I'm going to make the case as to look no further. Football cards are where it's at. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. We're putting out content on sports cards and collectibles just about every day. It's a fun time. We always talk about fun topics here on the channel. We cover a lot of newsy type stuff in the hobby, and you don't want to miss an episode, so definitely hit that notification bell. If you like what you hear, please hit the like button below. It helps with that old YouTube algorithm. We got to get the help, guys. We need you. If you haven't already, connect with me on Instagram at The Personal Finance Dad. I'm also on Twitter, usually throwing out tweets about the New Orleans Saints, usually upset about something, at The Personal Finance Dad, and also, of course, sports card, hobby-related stuff. All right, guys, first off, we have got exciting modern QBs, a lot of new young talent in the league. You only have to look to this year's playoffs to see it. I mean, think about what we've seen in the last couple weeks from Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen. Those three guys look like they could just control the league for the next 10, 15 years. They looked unbelievable over the last 7 to 10 days, just unbelievable. And if we look at the AFC quarterbacks in particular, you've got, I mean, it's incredible. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. You've got exciting new rookies like Zach Wilson for the Jets. And even last year when we were at, the National, the big names, the guys that people were looking for, Baker Mayfield, Tua, Justin Herbert I already mentioned, but, even Baker Mayfield last year, he was the hottest buy at the National. Everybody wanted Baker rookies, and so that can just kind of show you how things can shift so quickly in the NFL. There's a lot of fun parity. It is kind of an extension of the fantasy football game that we play, where you're trying to guess which teams are going to be good, which QBs are going to be good, and which teams can stay healthy. It's just awesome. I almost forgot Derek Carr, Vegas Dave. And which guy is the big one in the football card market that plays still? Tom Brady. And hopefully he's coming back. It's kind of funny. The guys that are 1-2 in the MVP race this year, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, may or may not come back this year or may not come back to their respective teams. I think that Tom Brady is getting tired of getting sacked by Cameron Jordan and the Saints. And if you can't beat him in the regular season, then you join him. Could you imagine Tom Brady with Sean Payton? Woohoo! And with our defense, although the Bucs have a good defense as well, the Tom Brady card market is red hot. And he is, to me, he's kind of the GOAT of GOATs. I know people will argue with me about that, but he's like the undisputed heavyweight champion in the football card world. He's kind of like the LeBron, Kobe, MJ market all thrown into one for football cards. He is the guy. He's got a lot of important cards, a lot of great cards, and just a fun journey collecting his stuff. A lot of really, really cool options, a lot of rare options, and a lot of common cards if you're just looking to get in on some of his stuff. There's excellent vintage options, really at a nice price point in comparison to vintage baseball, vintage basketball, and some of the older soccer stickers and stuff like that. I mean, you've got Bart Starr rookies, Johnny Unitas, Jim Brown, Walter Payton, just to name a few, Staubach, Bradshaw rookies. We could go on and on. The 80s have a ton of Hall of Famers. Jerry Rice, John Elway, Dan Marino, Deion Sanders, Barry Sanders, just loaded. The 80s were absolutely loaded with football talent, and that is a really fun decade, to go back and take a look at some of those cards. All-time defensive players, Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White, Aaron Donald, just to name a few. And Aaron Donald, of course, is still playing. But if you want to dig into kind of those defensive Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers, that's also a fun ride. The 90s and 2000s inserts, a lot of the same inserts that you see in basketball cards, you can also find in football cards. Here's a cut above. A lot of the same kind of skybox metal, type stuff. You can find it. PMGs are in football as well. Platinum portraits. I just picked this one up. Old Troy Aikman. I think he's underrated. And these platinum portraits, awesome cards and very difficult to get in a good grade. Exquisite football. You always hear about exquisite basketball. The legends in football, they also have exquisite cards. Loads and loads of cool inserts from the 90s, early 2000s. This one happens to be Boss Hogs from Absolute from 1999, and it's an autographed football that's on a card. It's one out of about 360 packs. It's fun stuff, guys. And we haven't touched on the skill players, the modern day skill players. Of course, I know what you're going to say. Injuries in football, injuries. And that is exactly right. Of course, you can definitely get into some injury bugs, but you don't have to collect Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley. There's so many different options for players that have already wrapped up their career or guys that have already kind of established a legacy that are still playing. Not to mention the NFL is the most popular sport. You see basketball kind of hitting kind of like, a little bit of a slump, I feel like basketball has. There's just not a lot of excitement about basketball right now. Maybe it's just kind of a mid-season slump as we get kind of moving towards the end of the season and the playoffs. Maybe it'll pick up at that point. You look at baseball, they're striking. There's nothing exciting about baseball right now. Hockey is a very popular sport, great sport to watch in person, but still is always kind of lagged behind in the United States as far as popularity. And for soccer cards, all I hear about is the run up to the World Cup, which makes me a little bit concerned, and because it almost puts all that pressure on the World Cup. Everyone's speculating on the World Cup, and again, that makes me a little bit nervous. If I was buying soccer cards, I know I would have to focus on more of kind of the GOAT players, whether it be a Pele card or a Ronaldo or a Messi. I would have to stick with that because prospecting in soccer is interesting, very, very tough. And I'm just not crazy how a lot of it's just riding on kind of World Cup hype. And then what? F1, UFC, I think these are kind of exciting new, sports that are coming up. Not new sports necessarily, but sports that are getting attention as far as their cards go. For me, it's just not my thing. So we'll have to see. But again, football is that huge sport where there's so many different options. It's got history, and it's really just awesome. There's not another league that generates more revenue in the U.S. than the NFL. It is a extremely popular sport. Their ratings are always way up. It's a thing of beauty. So if you're on the fence about football cards, this was my case for football cards and why I think that they are going to be kind of that next wave. It's always like, we went to basketball for a little while. Basketball has been kind of red hot, but I think football cards are going to have their day. They're going to have their day one day. One day? Too many days? Too many? Anyways, you get the point. Guys, have an amazing rest of your day. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.